Hi, I'm Duncan Moss, and I'd like to welcome you to the second of my video blogs. I've had a few technical hitches, and my first video blog got wiped off YouTube, but I was able to resurrect it and so get it back on there. And I'm not the world's most technical person. I think I've improved the lighting this time. Uh, I'm going to talk about the Beatles on this second video blog. I will, as promised, be talking about other subjects in future blogs. And last time, when I was talking about the 50th anniversary of George Harrison's All Things Must Pass and Beatles album Let It Be, and an emphasis on George Harrison's songwriting, I omitted to mention Abbey Road, which was rather silly of me because it's one of George's finest hours. So I'm going to talk about it today. It was the last Beatles album to be recorded while they were together, but not the last one to be released. That was Let It Be, which came from the Get Back sessions in January 1969. This album, Abbey Road, was recorded in around July and August 1969. This is the famous cover of the album, one of the most imitated albums covers in the history of pop music. A wonderful photograph of them all going across the zebra crossing, and this is just the CD version of it, but it's pretty faithful to the album. That's the back of the vinyl album with the wall and the person walking past. The music is very interesting. It shows four musicians at the top of their profession. The musicianship on the whole album is just superb, but also wanting to make their own way in different directions. So we're left with a very interesting piece of work. The first track on the album is called Come Together, and it's a John Lennon song. Very uncommercial, but very brilliant at the same time. Kind of thing that we just expect from John. Some absolutely superb drumming from Ringo. A great song, and it took a guitar riff from Chuck Berry as a homage. The second song is called Something, and this is a George Harrison song that John Lennon is reputed to have said was the best track on the album, and I couldn't agree more. It's an absolutely beautiful love song. And was released as a single from the album. It went to #1 in several countries, but not, sadly, in the UK. It was released a month after the album came out, and the album was selling very, very well. And that tended to slightly inhibit the selling of the single, which sold 200,000 copies, which was 50,000 copies away from getting a silver disc. So it was sadly the first Beatles UK single to not get a silver disc after Love Me Do. But it's got nothing to apologise for. It's a beautiful song, and it's been very heavily covered over the years by people like Shirley Bassey and Frank Sinatra. In fact, I think Shirley Bassey had a #1 with it, with her version in the States. And it's probably the best song that one of the best songs George has ever written. Track #3 is Maxwell's Silver Hammer, which is basically psycho set to music. And you either love it or you hate it. but it's a send up as well of slasher movies. Um, then the next track is "Oh Darling," which on the Beatles anthology, John and Paul sing as a duet. But sadly, because I think their voices go together really, really well, this isn't the case in the finished version for the album. It's a Paul solo, and Paul sings it with great gusto. Perhaps it would have been fans would have appreciated if he'd been perhaps a little more melodic on the song, but it's Paul's song, and he can do with it whatever he likes. The next track is the second song that Ringo had ever written. It's called "Octopus's Garden." It's a lot of people are quite cruel to the song. It's a lot of people say, "Oh, it's a remake of Yellow Submarine." But it has its own story about how it evolved. Ringo went on a holiday and went scuba diving, and he had a guide with him, and the guide was telling him all about the octopuses cultivating the seabed into little gardens, and that really impressed Ringo. And actually, in the film Let It Be, you can see him coming up with the basic tune, with George sort of helping him. The track is very sweet. It's rather jolly. It's really about finding a safe place from life and life's struggles, and it's a children, also very much a song directed for children, and it was, I think, performed on the Pinky and Perky show. That does show my age, but it's a lovely song. It's probably one of the most commercial songs on the album. We're then treated to a Lennon classic called "I Want You, She's So Heavy," and it's a remarkable song, about 7 or 8 minutes in length, with a bit of blues. Lennon sings of the frustration, the whole frustration around him, and needing Yoko. It's just the vocal leaves the song about halfway through, and then you've just got this massive wall of guitar. George and John must have overdubbed their guitars several times, and Paul darts between their guitar riffs during the song with the precision of a maestro, showing just what a wonderful bass guitarist he is. I would describe the song really as "Hey Jude from Hell," but it's one of my favourite Lennon songs of all time, and I think Lennon fans will just love it. That's the end of side one. Side two, we're treated to a very different kettle scenario, or kettle of fish. The side two starts off with another George Harrison song called "Here Comes the Sun." Again, a fabulous number, really, really terrific pop song, heavily covered. Just really, when the album was released, it was coming. The 60s were coming to an end, and it almost sort of looks forward to the next decade. It's full of optimism, which was interesting considering the Beatles were on the verge of splitting up. Just full of life. Maybe it's a signpost to George's solo career that and to all things must pass. But it's a lovely song, reputedly written in Eric Clapton's garden. The next track is called Because, and it's from John Lennon, and it's a beautiful song. It's not one of his most known songs, but it's very, very lovely, and beautiful harmonies from all three, not from Ringo, but from John, Paul, and George. Beautiful vocal, and there's on YouTube. There's a very splendid version a school choir does of the song, and it's well worth having looking up. We then go back to Paul, where he has the song "You Never Give Me Your Money," which is apparently a dig at EMI for not for sending memos, and you never give me your money, you only give me your funny paper. And it's a nice song. It almost turns into a sort of like you went into a western with a little piano, sort of Rocky Raccoon type piano in it. It's a good song. Then we go to John. We has three songs. Here Comes the Sun King. It's just called Sun King. Me, Mr. Mustard, and Polythene Pam. The three songs are synced together very, very well. And it has a rocky ending, Polythene Pam, that leads straight into She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, which is a song that Paul wrote about a fan trying to get into his house. She got stuck in trying to get in through the bathroom window. So, and I think she had to be rescued by the fireman, I think. The song is it's really good, and it's Lennon's song Polythene Pam and She Came Through the Bathroom Window are beautifully linked. One slides into the other. So she influenced this little young lady influenced the writing of a Beatles song. That's something to tell your grandchildren, isn't it? We then got Paul singing Golden Slumbers, which is a sweet little lullaby, possibly written for one of his children. I'm not sure, but it's a lovely number, and goes into a bit of a sort of slightly rocky section, but then goes back to a quiet tempo, possibly Paul's answer to John's Good Night from the previous album, the White Album. Then we've got Carry That Weight, which is credited to all four Beatles, but I think Paul came up with the basic song, and it seems to be Paul trying to keep the band together, and has the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra providing a very short, I think 13 seconds worth of music. And we've then got the album finishes with the last major song, and that's The End, where the drumming, Ringo's drumming, is just breathtaking, and the most fabulous musicianship all round. We're just then left with Paul's song Her Majesty, which is just a little catchy ditty of a very sort of half a minute, and At the end of the song, the end, they sing, and in the end, the love you make is equal to the love you take. And it's almost like they're sort of waving goodbye. But it's apparently one of the best-selling albums that the Beatles ever did. I don't believe it's their best album, but I certainly think it's a terrific effort. And they hadn't planned to split up immediately after this album, but they seemed to go and life seemed to be taking them in different paths. I don't remember the album coming out. I was 6, but I do think it's a fine album to have, and it's an absolute must for a Beatle fan. And it was a very glossy end to their recording career. I hope you've enjoyed my little thing. I wanted to keep it, since my first blog was nearly 40 minutes. I did very much want to keep this one a little shorter, and I think I'm not Greg Toland, but I think the lighting's a bit better in this one. So thank you for listening, and I'll be back again with another blog fairly soon. God bless.